Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Ballabha Girivardhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Ballabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Banachari. Yamuna Tira Banachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Ballabha Girivardhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Ballabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Rohini Nandana Brajajana Ranjana. Rohini Nandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Banachari. Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Rantara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Jai Shri Shri Gauranita. Jai Shri Krishna Balaram Giri Govardhana. Krishna Balaram Giri Govardhana Ki Jai. Oh, glory to assembled devotees, oh, glory to assembled devotees, oh, glory to assembled devotees, Jai Vrinda Devi, Tulsi Devi, Maharani Ki Jai, Govardhana. Hare Krishna. So, welcome to today's very auspicious Krishna Balaram's appearance. Naturally feel very unqualified because I'm surrounded by so many exalted Vaishnavas, but somehow Krishna puts you in these positions and you've got to just surrender somehow. So, please forgive me, but I didn't arrange this. So you have to pay the price. We're very, very fortunate here in New Govardhana because we don't just have one Balaram. How many Balarams do we have? 2 Balarams, yeah. Krishna Balaram and Nityananda Balaram. So we're doubly fortunate. They're both identical personalities and they're both extremely merciful and kind to the fallen conditioned souls. Srila Prabhupada received a phone call, I think he was in India at the time, from Calcutta. And there was a temple president on the phone. He was talking about a senior devotee, that one of the early devotees that was he'd been doing some nonsense. And he told Prabhupada, and Prabhupada said to him over the phone, you tell him if he doesn't stop, I will reject him. So that was the end of the conversation. Tamal Krishna Maharaj was with Srila Prabhupada and he overheard the conversation. And then once he hung up, he said to Srila Prabhupada, would you really reject him? Srila Prabhupada said, I cannot reject anybody. And then Tamal Krishna Maharaj started spurring him on, he'd be coming up with different scenarios. How about if I do this or do that? Prabhupada, I cannot. And Prabhupada eventually said, it's not possible to go below the mercy of Lord Nityananda. You can't duck under it. It's not possible. It's a big, merciful net, and we're sort of all stuck in it. So this is Nityananda Balaram and Balaram. They're both one and the same. So tomorrow is also Srila Prabhupada's anniversary of coming to America. So if you can make it to class tomorrow in the last 10 minutes, we're going to be showing a very beautiful video reenactment of Prabhupada coming to America. Very touching. So today we're reading from the first canto, preparing for tomorrow for Prabhupada's arrival. Prabhupada said that when someone said to him, I think one of his godbrothers, about taking the Bhagavatam to America, he said, the Bhagavatam's taking me to America. I'm just going along for the ride. So Prabhupada brought the famous first canto. So we're going to read from the famous third chapter. I didn't bring my glasses, so wish me the best. I should be okay. Didn't even eat any carrots either, so we'll see what happens. So this is verse 23 of this chapter's called Krsna. Try it. Hey? Well, if I get your vision out, I might be happy. Hey? Hare Krishna. We're getting pretty bad, aren't we? I wouldn't want to be driving behind you with these glasses. Hare Krishna. All right, here we go. So this famous chapter is called Krishna is the source of all incarnations. Oh, it's going to be hard. I can't really say it. Here we go. Ekonavimse vishati me. Is that what's up there? Vrishnishu prapya janani. Janmani. Rama Krishna Viti Bhuvo Bhagavan Arad Baram Ekona Vimse Vishati Me Rishnishu Prapya Janmani Rama Krishna Viti Bhuvo Bhagavan Arad Baram. Somebody else? Nobody? Somebody bring it a bit closer. Vishnu Shuru Kapijanmani Krishna Samari Vibhu Bhagavan Arad Baram Puna Vimse Vishati Me Vishnu Shurupati Janmani Rama Krishna Viti Bhuvo Bhagavan. I'll just quickly read this one. Ekana Vimse in the 19th, Vishati Me in the 20th also, Vishnishu in the Vrishni dynasty, Prapya, having obtained, Janmani, birth, Rama, Balarama, Krishna, Sri Krishna, Iti, thus, Bhuva, of the world, Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead, Arat, removed, Baram, burden. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Aishi Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. In the 19th and 20th incarnations, the Lord advented Himself as Lord Balaram and Lord Krishna in the family of the Vrishni, the Yadu dynasty, and by so doing, He removed the burden of the world. Translation, purport, short purport. The specific mention of the word Bhagavan in this text indicates that Balarama and Krishna are original forms of the Lord. This will be further explained later. Lord Krishna is not an incarnation of the Purush, as we learned from the beginning of this chapter. He is directly the original personality of Godhead, and Balaram is the first plenary manifestation of the Lord. From Baladev, the first phalanx of plenary expansions, Vasudev, Sankarshan, Aniruddha, and Pradyumna expands. Lord Sri Krishna is Vasudev and Baladev is Sankarshan. Translation. In the 19th and 20th incarnations, Lord advented himself as Lord Balaram and Lord Krishna in the family of Vishnus, the Yadu dynasty, and by doing so, he removed the burden of the world. Om Ganati Miranda Shaganam Ganasaraka Sakshush Umilitandena Tasmaye Shri Gurave Namaha Vanchakalpaturabhisha Kripa Sindhu Bevicha Patitanam Pavinibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha. All glories to Sri Krishna Balaram. So Balaram is an extremely unique personality, as we all know very well. He's directly the first direct expansion of Krishna. Prabhupada says identical to Krishna except for the colour. Krishna, as we know, is Sham, darkish, and Balaram is sometimes described as white as milk, sometimes as the same as that white full moon, which is a very beautiful colour. But otherwise they're the same. Sometimes he describes an incarnation of the beauty of Krishna. He's so beautiful, Balaram. So what's interesting in the spiritual world is that sometimes we consider Krishna God, but Krishna's not really God in the sense he's actually a cowherd boy. He doesn't leave Vrindavan. He doesn't do any God activities as such, if you think about it, So God is a position that's created, and Krishna delegates Balaram first to expand, and even Balaram, he doesn't want to leave Vrindavan either. So he expands further into what's mentioned in purport here, into the Chaturvyuhas, the Vasudeva and Sankarshan, Aniruddha and Pradyumna. And they again further expand. This goes right through into the Vaikunthas, and you have the Maha Sankarshan, and then the Purushas, the three Purusha avatars. They're also expansions of Krishna, of Balaram, Balaram's Krishna's not involved. He's still herding his cows. He hasn't left Vrindavan. And then as we know, Mahavishnu expands, the universes come out, and then further expansion, Garbhadaksha Vishnu, Kshirodaksha Vishnu, then it enters the heart of all living entities. So Balaram's with us from all the way through. He's manifesting in so many ways. He's considered the Adi Guru, the original spiritual master. And you cannot go back to Krishna unless you go through Balaram. You cannot attain Lord Chaitanya unless you go through Lord Nityananda. You can't attain Radha and Krishna unless you go through Lord Chaitanya. So this is the divine pathway. So we're very, very dependent, and they're very, very merciful. And the spiritual master is the representative of this Adi Guru, Balaram, Nityananda. So he does all this for Krishna. He takes care of all the creative, all the godly stuff through all these expansions, and he maintains everything. He expands his Nantasation, sings the glories of the Lord, and it's unlimited, and his glories are unlimited also. But back in the spiritual world, he's also known as the Supreme Personality of Servitude of Godhead. Right? He's an extraordinary amount of service, because some of us can think, we do so much service, but the amount of service that Balaram does is incredible. He expands and maintains, and the spiritual world, Goloka Vrindavan, is an expansion of Balaram. He facilitates Krishna's pastime. The Goloka Vrindavan is fully spiritual, and the expansions of Goloka and Bhuma Vrindavan exactly the same. Spiritual, it's cogniscient, and fully saturated in Krishna Prem, this planet. Fully alive, and as we know, it's like a big whirl, lotus whirl, and it can close and open, and it serves Krishna in many ways in this way. So Balaram's totally in tune to Krishna's desires. And if he needs to go and meet Radharani, that he might be in Nandagram, she's over in Vamsivaro somewhere, which is maybe 50 kilometres away, then Goloka will close the petals, and it's a very short distance, So Balaram serves in incredible ways. When the gopis are chasing Krishna, because he's been again stealing butter and yogurt and with his friends and the monkeys. And when these elderly gopis are running quite quick, actually technically quicker than Krishna. But again, Goloka. So Krishna takes a step and the petals open up, and then the gopis fall further behind, even though they're running. So it's quite a transcendental realm. So Balaram creates all these facilities. He also expands in 10 different ways. His Krishna's bed, his asana, his cushion, his fan, his umbrella, any others, his clothes, ornaments, garments, shoes, his Brahman thread. It's Krishna. I remember in 1985, I had the great fortune that they decided they wanted to move Radha Madhava into the new altar that had been created. At this point in time, there was just Radha Madhava in the Lotus building, if those were there can remember that. So somehow or other, it's not like now when they have these big ceremonies, they move deities, it's a lot of, pomp and mantras and, qualified Brahmins and all this sort of stuff. Bhavananda Prabhu was the GBC at the time. He called for some Aussie brahmacharis and he called us all in, and we had to, they closed the tent, kicked everyone out of the temple room and closed all the gates, and we had to come in our gumshoes and take our Brahman threads off. We didn't know what was going to happen at this point. Then we had to show our muscles. So this is when you pray to Lord Balaram. And when we got selected, and then we got taken in, and we had to move Radha Madhava onto the new altar. And so I was one of the boys that carried Madhava, and he's very, very, I think he's close to a ton. He's huge, But it's the first time and the only time I've ever seen him without any clothes on. And then those that know, he has a white so the marble he was carved out of is a white marble line right through Brahman thread. So Balaram is there also in that beautiful form, Madhava and Mayapur. So anyway, it's just I remembered that when I remembered Lord Balaram thread. So today we're going to be celebrating. I think there's a big feast getting cooked. Hopefully lots of Varuni juice. We heard Shanti Prana has Varuni. That was his first day in the temple, wasn't it? He spoke on Thursday. I guess I'll quickly tell you my Varuni story. The original Varuni juice is, my understanding, it's a fermented honey drink of sort. But in ISKCON we tend to, I don't know where the original ISKCON recipe came from. It was there when I joined. It was basically a little bit of milk, lots of cream, lots of condensed milk and heaps of honey, right? And then all blended up, very thick. And usually if you took had a mouthful of this Varuni juice, it sort of knocked the back of your head off, It was intense. So my very first one, I was a new devotee. I think it was just first initiation time, and I hadn't experienced a Balaram appearance day before. And in those days we used to serve. Everyone would sit down. We had younger bodies. You could actually pick up a bucket and serve, and not like now. And if you were a server, then they'd make up a plate for you along the way. So you couldn't say. Like now, if someone comes around, you can sort of put your hand over your plate enough. So anyway, by the time we served everybody, you got to your plate. I hadn't seen Mount Morning in those days, but I got a glimpse of the size of Mount Morning. It was just and there was cups of sweet rice and Varuni juice, and we were told in those days you had to take Prashadam up to here, right? They didn't tell us up to there, but anyway, so I had this I was almost in pain, but again, you had to honour everything on your plate. And then I'm just finished up, and then Krsna, for those who remember dear Krsna, he puts his head through the door of the temple. He goes, upstairs, Sangatar meeting. I said, my God, this is the evening, would have been about 6:30 or so. Oh, so I get up there, and I didn't know what was going to happen. And I see all these brahmacharis sitting around in the circle. And in the middle of the circle, there's Madhu Mangala. He's another great soul. He's passed away. And he had one of those milk cans, full of Varuni juice. And then in each of his hands, he had he used to get these 2 or 3 litres containers of honey. And he was spicing up the already spiced up Varuni juice. And then they put a cup in front of everybody. And then they started reading Balaram pastimes. And every time they'd read 1 or 2 chapters, go, Balaram ki jai! And then you had to scull a cup. Right? I didn't know where it was going to go, but he had to scull his cup. And basically, we did this for some time to the last man standing. There was 2 of us left, myself, I think, and Brigu. We ended up having 7 cups, which is almost 2 litres. And we couldn't move. We couldn't lie down, we couldn't sit, we couldn't stand, we couldn't do anything. We were laughing like anything, completely intoxicated. And then someone else runs. I got to tell you this story because it's never ever happened again. And then someone runs upstairs, downstairs, dancing competition. So, Jesus. So they got this 7 o'clock party, this big Kirtan, and you had to go and do your dance, and there was people voting, and then eventually it was the last winner was dancing. That time was Brigu Putty, if you remember Brigu Putty. Great soul. He's one of the #1 book distributors in the world. And we're all still, and he gets a prize while he's dancing. We're all dancing, and it's a huge cup of straight honey. I go, my God, he goes, no way, he'll die. So what he does, he starts, while the kirtan is going, he starts spinning around dancing, releasing the honey. So there's a long string of honey going everywhere. It's going on the walls, it's going on the devotees, it's going on the paintings, it's going on the DD curtains, it's just going everywhere. Anyway, so that's the Hare Krishna movement I joined up to. A bunch of crazy people. Anyway, so Lord Balaram expands himself so much. We know when he came back from Dwarka to visit, he visited Vrindavan for 2 months, and he was there with his he had his own gopis, as we know, and he also had a Rasa Lila, but it was in a different place. And he was there with some gopis, and he was drinking the Varini juice. He was intoxicated. We know the pastime. He asked the Jamuna, come here. He wanted to jump in the water, and she thought he's a bit out there. His eyes were rolling back, and she ignored him, and he became very angry and got his plough, and he started pulling on Jamuna. He was going to tear her up into 100 streams, and then she got a bit shaken up and manifested and offered prayers. He was satisfied, and they all jumped in and enjoyed their water pastimes. But it's not the same intoxication as you get in this world. So Krishna appeared, sometimes Krishna and Balarama appeared in Mathura, but if you read the commentary of the Acharya, especially in the Laghu Bhagavatamrita of Srila Rupa Goswami, you will see that actually Krishna actually appeared in Vrindavan. And it was Vasudeva Krishna that was there. And then when Vasudeva carried him across to Gokul and put him back, actually Krishna was there, and Vasudeva re-entered that Krishna. Krishna is the eternal son of Mother Yasoda, and Balaram is the eternal son of Rohini. And it explains a similar thing. He was already in Rohini's womb, and then Sankarshan was transferred by Yogamaya into the womb of Rohini. And there's other little snippets that, you can read about it. It's not talked about a lot, but Prabhupada mentions it a couple of times in the 10th canto. I remember the BTG did an extended article on Krishna's appearance in Vrindavan, and it was with lots of Shastric references. And even there's some stories when Balaram was similar to Radharani. When the Radharani, as we know, appeared, she was blind. It wasn't until she was Krishna, he pulled himself up into a bassinet and looked at her, and she opened her eyes for the first time. So Balaram was described, he was also mute when he was born and not moving like that. And he was born 15 days before Krishna. And one time Mother Yasoda, while she was pregnant, picked him up, and then he came closer to Krishna within the heart of Mother. And he started laughing and playing and moving around. And then again, when she put him down, he stopped moving. So it wasn't until Krishna appeared that he started manifesting his activities. He was waiting for his Krishna. So he's the most wonderful servant of the Lord. And like Krishna, they go out every day, the cowherd boys, and they play and muck around, and they on Govardhana and down by the Jamuna, and they love to eat, and all the fruits of the forest are there for them. They got their tiffin from their mothers, and plus they go out and steal a bit extra from the gopis when they like to break in and steal. They eat and eat, these boys, like anything. It's very interesting. They like prasad. And it's interesting what Chaitanya's pastime is, a lot of eating as well. So the spiritual world is a bit of an eating place. So you got to stretch your eating muscles in your stomach, because when you go back there, it doesn't stop. And you do it for the rest of eternity. So the boys go out and play, and then we know there's a lot of demons that turn up. And you know when it's going to be lunchtime, because just before lunch the demon turns up and Krishna takes care of him, and then they have lunch. Later on in the afternoon, another demon turns up. You know it's time to go home. Then Krishna kills the demon, they all go home. But also Balaram didn't kill many, but he did kill some. Who knows the very first demon that Balaram killed? Dhenuka. I knew you were going to tell it. You're not allowed to answer any questions. Dhenuka. And Dhenuka was very, very powerful, envious demon in the form of an ass. If you see the BBT depictions of, it's got almost like vampire teeth, very vicious, and they were there parked in the Talavan forest, under the Tala trees, and these fruits. I've never smelt or seen a Tala fruit. Apparently, very beautiful fruit, and it's sweet and juicy and incredible fragrance. They're very tall palm trees they come from. And the cowboys could smell them and think, Krishna, we want to have some. He said, why don't you go and have some? He said, we can't. The demon is in there. And he said, let's go. And then the backstory is that Dhenuka is actually an ancestor of Bali Maharaj, that demon line. And Vishnu had made a promise he would never kill any of his ancestors. So Krishna got Balaram to kill this particular demon. That's one of the reasons that the Acharyas tell us. So first thing, Balaram goes in there, he gets the tree, starts shaking one of the trees, so all the fruits start coming down, and that sort of alerts Dhanakasura. He becomes, he jumps up and he runs to Balaram, and I think he actually kicks him with his back legs. There's two different versions, and then he tries again, and then Balaram, as we know, grabs him by those back legs, and he spins him so fast, so forcibly, right, that his life hairs leaves his body, and he threw him up into the tallest tree, and then all the other demons, which indicates they're not very intelligent. The strongest big demons just got done, and they come along, and they want to fight as well. And it's described in the Krishna book. They're all different colours, technicolor asses. And so they all come. Then Krishna jumped in. Between Krishna and Balaram, they do the same. And they end up on the top of all the trees, all topple over. They're all in different shapes and bends, and then the fruits. But it's described also at that particular time they didn't take the fruits because the scene was a bit ghastly, a lot of blood and thing around. So, but I guess at a later time they would have come. But so, and then there's a famous Pralambasura. He was supposed to be the most powerful demon. He's very, very powerful, Pralamba. And the same thing, he disguised himself. Apparently there was a cowboy that didn't turn up that day, maybe stayed home for some reason. He took that form. These powerful demons are able to shape themselves in any form they like. And so he turned up and they were playing games. He was smart. He figured this Krishna is pretty powerful. He'd already killed so many demons. He said, I'm going to go for Balaram, because I know if I can kill Balaram, then that'll break Krishna's heart and all the Brajavasis, and they're all going to die at that point. So they played all these games, and the games that were set up in such a way that the losers would have to carry the winners on their back after the game. And then Krishna's team was one team, Balaram was another team. Krishna's team lost those games. The boys were expert at playing games and wrestling. That's what they used to do a lot. Very, very expert at playing games. And then, so Krishna carried, I think, Sridham, can't remember, Subal, one of them. And Balaram got carried by Pralambasura, that's correct. Yeah. I had to visualise the BBT painting in my head just then to see Balaram on top. And so he thought so they started moving, but Pralam took him further away, and Balaram was getting worried. It's explained he was a little bit frightened because he wasn't sure what to do, because he came in as a cowherd boy, and Krishna accepted him as one of his friends. So you think, I can't really kill him, because he's been accepted by Krishna. So he was a bit frightened and not sure what to do. But after some time, he realised this is Pralamba, demon. I think even some commentaries say that even Krishna says, go gave him a bit of a knot to kill him, and he gave him a good old mate. Plus he grew, because Balarama became so heavy that Prahlad took his original Asuric form, which was massive and horrific looking, and blazing eyes and sharp teeth. And then and he slowed down. Then Balarama gave him a good old right hook to the head, cracked his head open. He went down. So the boys underwent so many pastimes. There's one that our dear Indian Maharaj, for those that have been following those Vrindavan series that he's been doing for many years now, since COVID, he's done hundreds of lectures on Vrindavan. Very beautiful. But one that he claimed was one of his favourites, and I remember clearly, and I've re-listened to, is the Kambi Hill pastime. Are you familiar with that one? Kambi Hill. Kambi Hill is a place, you can go and visit that place, the most southern tip of Vrindavan, the greater Vrindavan. And right at the very southern tip, as far as you can go, there's a hill there. It's called, Maharaj calls it a hillock, like a smallish hill. Got mountains, hills. It's very beautiful. It's full of nice, soft green grass. And Balarama and was there with it, took the cowherd boys. For some reason, Krishna wasn't there that day. It's interesting because it says in the Shastra they never separated those two. They're always together. But there is times, we know when Lord Brahma came and stole the calves, Balarama wasn't there that day. So in this instance, Balarama was there with the boys, and they were playing up there, and Balarama liked this hill in particular because the grass down the bottom is very, very sweet, and the cows would love, and were eating this grass. I'm starting to lose the plot. Anyway, so, and they would play on top, and they would roll down this hill and slide down this hill, the boys, It's just having fun, continuous fun. And then at one point, Balarama became very, very serious, and he called the boys. He said, and they're not used to seeing Balarama serious, like grave. He said, "My dear boys, this is the end of Vrindavan, this spot here. Never cross beyond this point. On the other side, you'll be influenced by the three modes of material nature." And then he got a stick and he drew a line. He said, this side is Vrindavan, and this side is Maya. Do not cross this line. And then a couple of the calves strayed away, and Balarama went after them. So boys will be boys. They started looking at the line, thinking, should we, shouldn't we? Balarama said, we shouldn't. And someone saying, I dare you to cross. I said, no, I dare you to cross. I bet you can't cross. I bet you can't cross over. And then one of them said, one of the old boys said, look, let's all cross over together. And all the little boys just all ducked across the line and ran back again. And then they did it again. And again, it's described 4 or 5 times. They kept running and running back. And one time they went right out, it's described about 100 metres, like full length of a football field. And they started getting worried. And one of the older boys, Raktak, said, actually, we shouldn't be doing this. Balaram told us not to. And they quickly ran back again. And then Balaram came back with the straight cows. Actually, before that, one boy actually went back out again. And he declared, Maya, where are you? Come on, show me. Where are you? He started taunting Maya. And nothing happened. And he went back as well. So then Balaram came, and the boys, then it was lunch. I think they were eating again. Anyway, they eat all the time. They were eating again, sitting, and some of the boys were talking, saying to each other, did you cross the line? Did you cross the line? Yeah, I crossed the line. And Balaram overheard him. Then he called them again, very serious, and again, they're not used to seeing Balaram in this serious mood. And he said, you have to understand, this behind this line is Maya. In Maya, people forget Kanai. They forget Krishna. And the cowherd boys, their mouth are. And they were saying, how is it possible to forget Krishna? These boys never forget Krishna, even in their sleep, eternally. And the idea that there's a place where you can forget Krishna, that is ruled. And he said, yes, you guys are very special boys, you're devotees, and you're very dear to Krishna, and you're protected by Krishna, even if you cross the line. But other souls that aren't favoured by Krishna, they forget Krishna on the other side. And it was like that. So I said, never cross this line. And then they started getting worried. And they said, Balaram, you have to do something. You have to tell all the residents of Vrindavan not to cross this line. So Balaram with his plough, he chiselled out a big stone pillar out of the top of the hill and placed it there to mark this spot of the Kambi hill. And apparently the Maharaj says that pillar is still there. You can go and visit that pillar. So it's a place. Anyone been there? Seen that pillar? You have. You're a special soul. Huh? Did you cross the line? Hey? You didn't, did you? So don't cross the line. I'm going to finish in a minute because, I had about 35,000 other things to say, but anyway, that's the nature of Balaram, is unlimited. And then Maharaj was very emotional when he got to this part of the story. He said this line is actually, somebody did cross that line. Someone crossed that line and went deep, deep onto the other side. Who knows who that person is? Say it nice and loud. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. And tomorrow will be that day where he crossed the line. He leaves for Vrindavan tomorrow. We celebrate the anniversary. And he went deep onto the other side to get those, to find all those ones that are forgetting Krishna and to drag us back over the line. So this is Srila Prabhupada's great mercy that he's introduced us to these great personalities. When they had the installation of Krishna Balaram in Vrindavan, Prabhupada said, why Krishna Balaram? He said, Krishna gives us a sword of knowledge, but Balaram, he gives us strength to pick it up. So we're very, very dependent for spiritual strength, and we pray to Lord Balaram to empower us and bless us, especially on today, to give us his mercy, to give us the strength to give up our natas. He's very, very merciful and very, very kind. And also Nityananda Prabhu. And between them, if we pray to them, especially today, they will help us. Prabhupada said you could go to Krishna Balaram and tell them, just open your mind to them. Say, dear sirs, this is my problem. Please help me. And they do that. They help. And Balaram especially likes to assist. That's what he does. He's very, very kind. So on this day, we pray to them for spiritual strength. Lord Balaram's the Adi Guru, the original spiritual master. We need his mercy. We beg for his mercy. We need his mercy. Today he's very, very kind, very beautiful. I remember one year, 30 seconds, I was sitting right over there with, I don't know if it was the same festival, another festival with next to the late Nishunga. Remember Nishunga Dave? Big Nishunga Dave. And I was sitting next to him, he was sitting there, and he kept saying to me, look at him. I remember how he used to speak. He said, look at him. What's he talking about? I said, look at him. He's so beautiful. Look at him. I don't know what he was doing. I said, who are you talking about? He said, Balaram. He was looking at Lord Balaram. He's so beautiful. Look at him. I'm sitting there in my typical zoned out space. So, like I said, it's 9 o'clock. We can keep going. If anyone wants to say something about Lord Balaram, it would be nice to hear from our dear seniors here. If you want to glorify Lord Balaram, today is the day to do it. And tomorrow Prabhupada crosses the line for us. Came and got us. When Indian Maharaj tells his story, he just cracks when you start thinking of the kindness of Prabhupada. He left that wonderful place there. And if you look at the Bowery and these places he went to, Hare Krishna. Oh, sorry, I can't turn that far around.
I'm in an awkward spot, but
That's
it was
okay.
too hard to get up and move over.
I can relate to that.
I was, thank you so much for that wonderful class and the glorious pastimes of Lord Balaram. And it reminded me of a little pastime that I personally encountered when I was Lord Balaram, Jagannath Balaram Subhadra's Pujari in Calcutta in the early 70s, mid-70s, 74. And behind the deities in Calcutta temple, there used to be windows. Now they're blocked over, but they're the old-fashioned style from the British Raj with shutters, and so you get quite a nice breeze. And then for about 3 or 4 weeks, when I was dressing Lord Balaram, this huge bumblebee would fly in through the window, circumambulate Lord Balaram 3 times, and then fly out again. And that happened for 3 or 4 weeks, and I would be sitting there just thinking, this is incredible, this, Lord Balaram, his love of honey, the bumblebees. So that was a very special little pastime that I witnessed with that bumblebee circumambulating Lord Balaram. And I used to count how many times it would go around. It would be 3 times.
Trained up. Very nice. Thank you. And also, that's something I should have mentioned is Lord Balaram, he serves Krishna in the 5 different rasas. And if you're not familiar, in the Shanta rasas, when they manifest in the shoes and umbrellas and the Goloka planet, he serves Krishna, massages Krishna's feet. He's Krishna's friend. They play together. He has a very protective, parental mood towards Krishna. So sometimes he instructs Krishna and takes care of him. And he expands as Ananga Manjari, the younger sister of Srimati Radharani, and engages in conjugal service in that way. So extraordinary service, that unlimited service that Lord Balaram displays. You can't actually track it all down. I mean, Anta Sage can't keep up with it. He's one of his expansions. Ambika Mataji, please.
Hare Krishna, thank you. It was a lovely class. I just wanted to expand on something you actually said, but it was kind of, it was after Srila Prabhupada had installed Krishna Balaram and Radhesham and Gauranitai in Vrindavan. So on that day of the installation, Srila Prabhupada himself did the artik for Krishna and Balaram, and it was just amazing to see that every time he turned around, to offer out the particular article, he was like more and more ecstatic as it went on. He was so happy because, of course, they tried to have the installation in 74, but it didn't happen on Janmashtami. So this was in Ram Navami in 75. So the morning after the installation, which Srila Prabhupada was so pleased about, there was a morning walk, and it was Kavi Chandra Maharaj who talked about this pastime because he was there, and it's in Lokanath Swami's Festivals book. So as Srila Prabhupada was walking along with all the devotees, suddenly he stopped and he turned around to the devotees and he said, "Now Balaram is here. Everything is all right." And then he said, "You can pray to," that's what you said, you can pray to Krishna Balaram or Gauranitai, and you say, "My dear sirs, this is the problem," and they will make all arrangements.
Haribo. Very nice. That's sacred. And it's also that wonderful place where Srila Prabhupada built that temple is the Ramrati, right? It's that sandy. That's where the cowboys used to play. Very famous place. And our dear Srila Prabhupada is there in transcendental samadhi in that sacred place. Interesting. Sorry, I can't see what's going on back
Hare
there.
Krishna. Yes, thank you, Prabhu, for a really wonderful class. So just want to add what Ambika was speaking about the installation ceremony. I heard Brahmananda Prabhu, senior devotee who's passed on, he was asking devotees like this once when he was giving class. He said, he was asking, why did Srila Prabhupada install Shri Krishna Balaram in Vrindavan? And nobody could answer. And then he said he did it because actually he wanted to install Shri Gauranitai, as being very prominent there. But now I can't remember the exact words that followed, but I think it was something along the lines that the local populations would accept Shri Krishna Balaram more than Shri Gauranitai, something like that. Somebody else might know that.
I've heard.
You've heard that, yeah.
Yeah, specifically to introduce Gauranitai.
Yeah.
Very non-different. I guess when I go to breakfast, there's no rush, right?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I have a question. It's about Balaram Kavacha. I saw it in one of the books of Vrindavan books that was circulating long time ago. But I've never heard us, like in our society, either recite it or talk about it. Question is, can we do it, or did Srila Prabhupada ever mention about the Balaram Kavacha?
Okay, so I cannot answer this question because I do not know, but perhaps some of the seniors here might know. Anyone know anything about that? We're going to have to go to Guru Google. I'm sure there's something out there. I've never heard it being discussed or read about it or heard it. I've heard a lot of lectures. Interesting question, but unfortunately I'm not qualified to answer it for. Do you know anything at all yourself? Or?
I just used to recite it before.
There's nothing wrong with reciting it.
But I never hear us talk about it. That's my question. Yeah, why not?
Probably today's the day to talk about it. Do you know where it's from? Which scripture it's from?
It is, I forgot the name of the book, but it was a book that was circulating in ISKCON.
Mm-hmm.
It deals with a lot of pastimes of Krishna and childhood pastimes as well, and it's in there. I've forgotten the title. Yeah.
Is that everybody? One more up there. We missed a lot of demons. We could have talked about Rama Asharan, and I like one Rukmik. She's head cracked by the club.
So I remember it was the late 80s, I think, in Perth Temple and Balarama's appearance day. And one of the devotees went down to the post office and there was a box there to pick up addressed to the Perth Temple. There was no return address, but the postage stamp was about 2 years previously, so pretty unusual. So we brought the box back to the temple and opened up a small set of Krishna Balarama deities. And so we thought it was Balarama's appearance day, special arrangement, so we put them on the altar at least just for that day. And so every year since, they were going on the altar for, Balarama's appearance day, Janmashtami, etc. So they sort of become like Utsav deities, but we never knew where they came from. And so it was about 7 or 8 years later, my wife Rukmini, she put that Dundabuts.com, I don't know if that's still running or not, but she put an article on there, The Mysterious Appearance of Lord Balarama, and she just described, sort of how it happened. Anyway, a few weeks later, she got a reply from a devotee in Hawaii and said, they're my deities. And we were living in a house with other devotees and there was a big argument and somehow or other somebody just packed them up and shipped the deities off to Perth. It was a bit unusual explanation, but anyway, he said, I can see they've been looked after very nicely so you can keep them.
Krishna.
But it was just amazing that, Balarama's appearance day, they turn up.
The Lord works in mysterious ways. There's Prabhu, Daksha.
Whoever gets my eye first.
Can we quote from ChatGPT? Is that okay?
I try and avoid it, but go ahead.
I asked it what is the origin of the Balaram Kavacha.
Yep.
It says the Balaram Kavacha has its origin in the Skanda Purana, specifically in the Vaishnav Kanda, where it appears as a protective hymn, stotra, and mantra Kavacha, glorifying Lord Balaram, the older brother of Lord Krishna. Then there's a subtitle, Scriptural Context. In the Skanda Purana, there is a section where the sage Satananda teaches King Yudhisthira about various kavachas, protective invocations, dedicated to different deities. The Balaram Kavacha is presented as a divine armor kavacha that protects the devotee physically, mentally and spiritually. It is said to have been originally spoken by Sri Krishna himself to protect devotees from dangers, enemies, diseases and negative influences. The Kavacha is essentially a prayer invoking the different aspects and forms of Lord Balaram to protect various parts of the body. It is recited by devotees, especially Gaudiya Vaishnavas, when seeking strength, courage and spiritual fortitude, since Balaram is considered the source of spiritual strength. In tradition, it's also associated with protecting one from subtle obstacles on the path of devotion.
Hare Krishna.
It
I
goes on.
just hope the GTP doesn't end up sitting up here one day, because that's the way the world's going at the moment. Daksha, did you want to say something? You got a comment?
I did, when Ambika Prabhu said that thing about Vrindavan, I remembered this clip from following Srila Prabhupada.
Speak a bit
I'll just play it in the mic.
Oh, you can play.
What the heck? I had it prepared.
There's no Krishna Balaram deity like this, with Balaram resting his arm on Krishna's shoulders. There's no deity like that. Prabhupada made that design.
He's talking about Krishna Balaram and Vrindavan.
And then he would joke about it. Who is stronger, Krishna or Balaram? Bala means strength. He's the strong one. And everyone would say, Balaram. And then Prabhupada said, then why Balaram is resting on Krishna? This means Krishna is stronger.
Yes. Krishna is stronger. All done? I think we'll start back up in 15 minutes. Oh, she's got one more.
I was just going to mention the calf born this morning. It's a very auspicious appearance of our calf this morning
yes,
from Garangi.
Garangi.
Yeah, so
Boy or girl?
girl.
Finally.
I know.
The last 10 calves, 7 were boys, and we have to take care of them, which we're happy to, but it's just it's a lot of work.
Hare Krishna.
All right. Krishna. Also, another thing I found out, you mentioned cows. I heard, probably in the last couple of years, that we know that Nanda Maharaj had 900,000 cows, but Maharaj said that he had 1.8, twice as many bulls, 1.8 million bulls. And you don't hear that very often. Balaram, he's holding the plough. When Prabhupada sent that letter here to New Govardhana through to Mount Krishna Maharaj, I think it was to Hari Story, he said that Krishna and Balaram, they're the farmer chariots. He said Balaram is holding the plough, Krishna's holding the rope for tying the cows. So if you want to find out how to look after cows and bulls, it's all in the scriptures. It's all there. It's like most subject matters. If you have particular interest, it'll jump up at you. If you're into Ayurveda, remember Giriraj Maharaj said his Ayurvedic doctor was really expert, and he said, where did you learn all these things? He said, I learned a lot of them from Prabhupada's books. And Prabhupada gives a lot of remedies in his purports. So similarly, if you're into deity worship, book distribution, these things. So if you're into cows and cow protection, then your books like the Gopal Champu, there's so much instruction and information that we can use for our farms. All right. All glories to Sri Balarama Ji. Dalji. Our dear Dalji.